All right, I'm going to try to record this again. I've been having all sorts of microphone problems, and I've got a lot later start than I wanted. Jameer, this is mainly for you. In class yesterday, I had recording problems. It said it was recording, and I got done, and there was nothing there. So I'm re-recording this. Additionally, I'm having problems with GitHub. So I want to put this out on GitHub because what I've got here is a handouts folder with some handouts that Mr. Smith made quite a while ago. Your homeworks, which are going to be on here. The hands-on tests will go in here. Your labs, which are right here. Some slides, PowerPoints for the book. This is the download from the book, so this is all the book applications for each chapter that are given, and the database that they use later on in the book. And finally, there's the written tests, which are all in there for all the chapters. We will not be going over 26 chapters. All right? But the point is, if we take a look at your labs, the first thing we did in class yesterday was the first lab. We did that as a class. So to show that to you, if I can find it. I guess it's here under labs and under lab 1. So you were supposed to create this right here. Okay? This wine glass that was made out of X's. Now I've also got it on here. So it kind of looks like this. You could take some liberties. I made it a little bigger than it was. So I sat down and thought about it. Really, it's just a series of console.writeline statements. So when you look here, what do I have? Two tabs in a space, followed by 4 tabs in a space, followed by 2 tabs and 2 spaces, 4 tabs, 2 tabs and 2 spaces. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs in a space, 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 and 4 tabs in about a space. Now, it doesn't exactly work out like that, but I worked the pattern out just going back and forth, and this is what I came up with. I started by adding several new lines just so I pushed it down. Also, by default, it's going to squish to the left corner of the window. So you notice in every case, I started with a minimum of 2 tabs. So I've got 2 tabs and somewhere around 15 to 20 X's. Then 2 tabs, a space, an X, 2 tabs, a space, and an X. 2 tabs, a space, 2 tabs, 2 spaces, 2 tabs and a space, 2 tabs, a space, and about 10 to 15 X's. 3 tabs, a space, X, 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 2 tabs, about 4 or 5 spaces, and about 10 X's. All right? So what does that mean? Let's just come in here and start a brand new project, and then I'm going to add this to the new project. So I'm going to copy that right now. Now, I gave the class quite a bit of time to work on this, because again, we're just starting up. So I'll do it in here. I'll create a new project, and I'm just going to call this lab 0. In fact, I'll throw all my labs in here. How's that? So I'll make a new project. This will be a console app, okay? And I'll go next. It will be called, the name of the console app will be called Wine Glass, but I want it to go in here, and I'm just going to call this solution name Labs. All right, and in fact, I'm going to change this to Chapter 01 - Wine Glass to show exactly where it is, and it's in the labs. So I click Create here. And it's going to create myself a brand new Visual Studio project, and this will be a console project. First thing I'm going to do is, because I don't want to have to keep typing in console dot or system dot console dot, so I'm going to put using static system.console. Notice when I do that, I no longer need the word console followed by a period, and I don't get any errors. All right, so all I'm going to do is paste in those lines that I showed you. And again, you'd have to kind of work this up yourself and figure out how it is. But when I do a file and a, come on, file, save all, there we go. And then I run the program. It's not going to look at all perfect. All right, there it is. It pretty much looks the way it does in the book. I might have one too many X's here, or that might have been over one too many, but it's okay. All right, so that was the first one that we did. Okay. Next, I went in and I'm going to literally just close this solution. And we went in and took a look at in the homeworks, the first homework, really the first two for chapters 2 and 3. And what are those? Well, notice they're extra exercises. It's design a simple form and code and test the calculator grade form. So first we were supposed to create this form. It's pretty doggone easy. label, text box, read only, button. All right. We'll name the stuff accordingly rather than use its default names, and we'll try to follow most of the directions that are shown here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come back into my Visual Studio. All right. And I'm going to create a new project. This one is going to be a Windows Forms app. So up here I'm typing in Windows Forms. That's what I want. C#, boom. Click Next. This project's name will be Chapters 2-3 Grades, because it's like a grade form. Grades. All right, it'll be on the desktop. I'm going to make a solution here that's just going to be called Homework. And I click Create. And there it is. Okay, so I'm going to do what I typically do first when I start out, and that is I'm going to change the name of the form to Form Grades. I did that right here. That will not change up here. This is the text. But if I come here and hit Enter, now if I come down and find text, it says Form 1. This will say Chapters 2 and 3 Homework dash grades form. Now, as soon as I hit Enter, I haven't yet. Notice how this will change where my mouse is. There it is. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add myself. Let's just put the buttons in first. It doesn't matter what I put in first. So I'm going to put in my 2 buttons. They're both small. I'd like them to be bigger. So I'm going to hold down on my left mouse button and do what's called lasso them. And this way I'm sure they're going to be the same size. That looks about right to me. Okay. Now I can come in here and at the same time, I can't name them at once. All right, but I can come in there and say that what I want to have happen is I want to change the font size. I'm going to double it to about 16, make it bold, and make it Arial. And that's pretty obvious right away what happened here. All right, this first button is going to be renamed Button Calculate. And I'm going to change the text on it to Calculate. In fact, let's put an ampersand C-A-L-C-U-L-A-T-E, and you notice I could calculate with the underscore there. This one will be exit, which is typically E ampersand X-I-T, and we'll change the name of that to button exit. All right. Okay, so we've got some of our interface built here. Some to go. So let's come up here and next let's add our 2 labels. We'll add our 2 labels. That's fine. In fact, we'll add 3 labels. We'll put a label here. And you'll notice that when I do this, the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to go up to where it says auto size. And this may seem like a misnomer because it's set to true now, but I want it set to false so I can resize my label. All right, now I've done that. And I'm going to change this to the name of it to label title. And I'm going to change the text on it to C# Chapters 2 and 3 Grades form. Not a great name, but it'll work. So I'm going to go back over here to my First, let's change the back color so it's easier to see. And we'll make it this kind of yellowish right there. Maybe that's an icky color, but that's fine. It'll work. Let's change the size of this. This is going to look too big for the screen, but we'll change that in a minute. 24-point bold. I like Arial. Choose any font you want, or just choose the default font. Doesn't really matter. Arial. Boom. All right. Chapters 2 and 3 grades form. I think that is everything. So that doesn't look too bad there. All right. Yeah. There. Now it's pretty much centered. Okay. So let's come over here and let's, in fact, I'm going to go and copy this twice. I'm going to cut the size down in just a moment. But I now have, in here, I now have 2 more labels. So let's cut their size down. Okay. And then we'll add 2 text boxes. Okay, text boxes will basically, the size of that will be dictated by basically the size that we set up to put the text in there. So I'm going to again change this, and we'll again make it the same kind of way. 24 bold, Arial, and I should have done them both at the same time by lassoing them. I didn't, and that's okay. So again, 24 bold and Arial. And I've got a pretty symmetrically looking program here. It's definitely not perfect, but it's not too bad. I'm going to cut this down just a little bit so they're even. There. All right. Now, in here, I want to change this. Of course, I want to change the names, but I want to change the how they're lined up. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to find text align, which is right under my text. And I'm going to put it to middle right. That might not be what they asked for in the book, but I like it right there. All right. And I'm going to take what's in here, and I'm going to set, this isn't text, the text align looks different. I just want the word center. So that'll be done. So this is label title. This will be label number grade. All right. And I actually want the text in there that says number grade. I don't want this text. So number grade, you can see that. This will be text box number grade. All right. And then this will be label letter grade. And the text in there will be letter grade. All right, so that's looking pretty decent right now. That already was set to text box number grade. This should be text box letter grade. All right, and I've got, I like to click this button here to make sure I've renamed everything. You'll notice I missed a text box, so looks like everything else is pretty much done here. Maybe it's because I didn't hit enter yet here. Or what did I do? The name text box letter grade. Why is it saying text box 2 there? I don't know. So label title, label number grade, text box number grade, label letter grade, text box letter grade, button calculate, button exit. That looks good. The only thing is, again, it's just me. It's a personal preference type of thing. I don't like the form to be that plain ugly color. So the back color for the form, I'm going to just click on that, and I'll change it. I don't know what goes well with this, but let's just make it like that orange. I know that's not the greatest looking, but it's fine. I'm going to cut this down just a little bit, just like that. There. Now, that's a pretty nice looking interface. By no means is it perfect. I'm going to move these down a little, like that, so I can move my title down a little. There, I like that. Now, with everything in place and looking the way I want it to look, I'm going to highlight everything on the form, right mouse click, and choose Lock Controls. Now this is in place and it cannot move because I like it pretty much where it is. Now, I want it set up with a few things in here. I want it set up so my mouse goes here at the beginning. This is going to be a read-only field, letter grade. It's going to be dictated solely by the number grade. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to change the read-only property on this. I'm going to click on it. I can either click the down arrow and choose true, or I can just double click on the word false and true. And you notice it gets kind of gray, which is okay. That's fine. All right, if I wanted to, I could go change the back color, but I'll just leave it the way it is. That's totally fine as far as I'm concerned. So that's set up. But I want the tab order to go here, then here, then here, and that's the only ones that matter. So to do that, I go up to, I'm going to click in here, and I go to View, and I go down to Tab Order, which is about 3/4 of the way down, and I set it to 0, 1, 2. That's all that really matters. But I'll set it here anyway. 3, 4, 5, 6. To turn the tab order, these numbers off, I click on View again and Tab Order again. All right. I'm also going to click on the form itself and go down to here and set my start position, which is currently set to Windows default location. I'm going to click there and choose center screen, so it starts on the center of the screen. All right. I also want it set up so when I hit enter, my calculate button runs. To do that, I click on a blank spot on the form and I go up to Accept button, which is up near the top. It says none. If I click here, I'll choose Button Calculate. And there's also a Cancel button. So when I hit the Escape key, there it is, I want the Exit button code to run. There's no code in there yet, but we'll fix that in a minute. So that'll be button Exit. All right. Now, I can run this and nothing magical is going to happen, and it's not at all functional because there's no code in there yet. But you see it's in the middle of the screen. You also see I can enter something in here. So that's looking good right now. So let's go back and take a look at what we had to do in here for the first thing. So we made this. We've got our form, number grade and letter grade. This code that's in here is read only. We've got a calculate button and an exit button. Okay. I didn't give it that name. It's not that big a thing, but I've got everything in here set up. I set up my form. It said calculate letter grade. I changed it a little, but that's fine. I set up my accept button. I set up my start button. I set up my start position. That's all done. All right. I'm not going to rename the form is fine the way it is. So I've done everything for chapter 2 on here. Now in chapter 3, now I have to put in the code to actually make it work. Now the code they want you to put in to make the form close is just this code right here, this dot close, which is totally fine. However, what we'll do, and I sent this to everybody last night, I believe, and if I didn't, I'll double check on it. But I sent everybody this code. And this code will set up a dialog box. Now when I'm going to do something, it's going to look almost a little weird. I'm just going to double click on this because that'll bring up that code window. And now I'm going to double click on this. Now I'm going to put this code in. That's the code for the exit button. This is going to bring up what's called a message box, and it'll show it on the screen. The text for the message box will say, do you really want to exit, with a question mark. The title of the message box will be exit now, with a question mark. I tend to always put my titles in totally uppercase, and then I uppercase the first letter in the text. You can do it any way you want, but you should be consistent. This message box will have a yes button and a no button, and the icon for it will be a question mark because that's what we're asking. If you click the yes button, the program will exit. To say application.exit is the same thing as they say in the book as this.close. So notice I'm going to click my double disk icon here, which is save all. I can also do a file, save all, or there's even a keyboard combination of Control plus Shift plus S. All right. So now I'm going to run this. And now my exit button should be functional. If I click it, it says, do you really want to exit? If I say no, I stay in the program. If I click it and I say yes, the program ends. So all of my code is now done. It's all done for my exit button. So the only code that's left in here to add is the calculate button code. And we're actually given that in the book. So I'm going to jump back into here, or in our exercises. And it's right in here. So we first want to say this. Now I'm going to have to make some changes because I didn't name everything exactly the same way that the authors did. So decimal number grade will convert to text. This mine is TextBox number grade dot text, and you'll notice as soon as I do that, the error message goes away. All right. So there we've got that. So that will be our number grade. That's what we're going to end up inputting into the first box. This string letter grade, this is what we're going to end up calculating based on the number grade that we put in. So there's the letter grade. I don't even think we need comments here because number grade and letter grade pretty much make sense. Now I'm getting green squigglies here, which means all that it means is that I'm currently got something that I've declared but I'm not using. So it's just a warning. Green means warning. It says the variable letter grade is assigned a value but it's never used, and that's true. So we're going to use it right now. And that's in here. And what we're saying is if you get an 88 or above, you get an A. If you get between this, you get a B, a C, a D, and an F. I don't even like the way they wrote this, so I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to rewrite it. All right. After we do this, we have one more line of code to add, I guess 2 more lines, and then we're done. Okay. So let's come back into our code, and let's add their code. Now, I put a couple things in class. You don't have to do this. But if I run this program now, I can put in 1,000 for the grade, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, so I'm going to come up here and right underneath where it says initialize component, form grades, it's called a constructor, and don't worry about it. Okay, I'm going to click in here and I'm going to say const int min grade equals 0, const int max grade equals 100. So the lowest grade you can get on any test is a 0. The highest grade you can get is 100. All right. So now I'm going to change this. So I'm going to say if the number is, change this just a little bit. I'm going to say if the number grade is less than the minimum, or the number grade is greater than the maximum. So if it's one of those two things, I put in bad input. All right. So I'm going to come in here and just say if we did either one of those, I'm going to grab that thing we did down here. I'm going to change it a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to say right here, it's going to say invalid input. Invalid input. Grade must be 0 through 100. Okay? And I'll change this also to invalid input. Now, I don't want to give them a yes or no here. I'm just going to say OK, because it'll just be an OK button. And this, what they just did was an error. So I'm going to change this to an error. So if they put in a grade that was out of range, and I'm going to do this right away, we're just going to tell them, hey, you're wrong. You did something wrong. So I'm going to take what was in that number grade, which is TextBox number grade dot text, and I'm going to clear it out. And then I'm just going to set the focus there, which means the cursor should go in there. Now, what does that mean? It's much easier to show it to you. So let's run this. And I'm going to put in an amount here that's out of range. And you notice, invalid input, grade must be 0 to 100. That's the error icon, and here's our title. As soon as I click OK, that goes away, and my cursor goes right back in here. If I put in a negative grade, I should get the same thing, and I do. If I put in a valid grade, nothing happens yet because I haven't put the rest of that code in. All right, I have, but I haven't told it to display. Okay, so now I'm going to exit. Yes, I do want to exit. So I'm going to change this from, this was originally an if, but I'm going to make this an else if. Now, I don't even have, I don't have to check to see if it's less than or equal to 100. If it's 88 or above, it has to be between 88 and 100. They get an A. Now, what they have here is fine, but it's redundant. I don't have to check to make sure it's less than or equal to 87. Now, if it's greater than or equal to 80, we get a B. If it's greater than or equal to 68, we get a C. If it's greater than or equal to 60, we get a D. Otherwise, it's an F. All right. I think we've got to put in one more line of code, and that is we've got to say TextBox letter grade dot text equals letter grade. Now, once we do that, that warning goes away. We should be done. And I want to make sure, because I'll quickly go back and check here. Finally add this to move the focus back to the number grade text box. We can do that. That's the only thing I didn't do, was to come back and add the focus. Okay, so that's fine. When we're all done, we want to do this. I'm going to, again, mine isn't named that, so I'm going to have to type in here TextBox number grade dot focus. And I should be done. So File, Save All. Let's run it. You already saw this. If we put something out of range, we get an error. All right, even 101, we get an error because that's out of range. Even -1, we get an error. That's out of range. Now, if I put a 0 in here, you should get an F. And you do. All right, if I put in here a 61, you get a D. If I put in here a 71, you get a C. And 81, you get a B. 91, you get an A. All right, now I'm just about finished, and technically I am finished. I'm going to go back, though, and I'm going to add one more button in between these two that says clear. So when I click clear, that'll clear, and I'll put the focus or the cursor right there. To me, it's a little cleaner to do that. You don't have to. You weren't asked to do it. So if you didn't do it, of course, I would never take off for something like that. I have to highlight these buttons and tell them to unlock them. So I'm going to move this over. I'm going to move that over. And in between them, I'm going to put this. Now, it looks like we have two calculate buttons. No, that's just the name it gave it. So I'm going to change this to button clear. And I'm going to change, in fact, let's make it button, for that, we'll make it C ampersand LEAR. Now it's clear. Okay. Let's again go back and relock this interface. All right, it's locked. Now I'm going to double click the clear button, and there's just, again, like 3 lines of code I have to add. TextBox number grade dot text equals double quote, TextBox letter grade dot text equals double quote, and TextBox number grade dot focus. Now I should be done. Let's save it and let's run it one last time and see if the clear button works. So we'll put in here just like we did before. In fact, let's go 100. That should give us an A. Clear, that all works now, good. 90 should still give us an A. Since I set the accept button, I can click here or I can just hit enter. Notice I get an A. All right. Click clear again. 80, I get a B. Clear. 70, I get a C. Clear. 60, I get a D. Whoops, I hit clear. So 60, I get a D. Clear. 50 and below, of course, I'll get an, I'll try it again. 50, I will get an F. Now, one last thing I want to do, you didn't have to do this, but since I added this new button, I actually want to set it because to me, if a person accidentally hits the escape key, the program is going to ask if you want to exit. I'm going to change my cancel button, which right now, my cancel button is set to the exit button. I'm going to change it so it's the clear button. Okay, so now when I run this, if I put a grade in here, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna hit escape and it clears. I like that. To me, that's cleaner than the way that I had it. All right, so that's pretty much everything. I didn't show you on here, and I'm looking on here, and these ampersands showed here, but they didn't show there. I want to see if I do a Alt X. See, that does work, even though the underscore is showing there. Oh, they are here. Okay. So no, I don't want to. If I do an Alt L, it should clear. That works. If I calculate, another way that I can calculate is to do an Alt C. That's what those underscores right there do. They allow you to do an Alt plus whatever letter. You can't use the same letter twice because it would confuse the system. But that's pretty much it. You see it's in the center of the screen. It's by no means beautiful, but it's highly functional as far as I'm concerned. I kind of like the way it looks. Maybe this stuff here, I could actually probably make this a little smaller. You know, but again, then you're starting to play around with the game of tweaking the interface. So let's do this. I'm going to unlock all the controls, make this a little bit narrower like that. Whoops. And I'm going to relock the controls. There. Now that looks pretty good as far as I'm concerned. That should meet all of the requirements that we had for the assignment or the homework for chapters 2 and 3. The last thing I'll quickly mention to you is, to me, again, it's a good idea. I now have a solution called homework, so all of your homeworks can go in there. All right. And one thing that I did yesterday was I sent everybody an email, and I let you know that what you should be able to do, now you've got it on the email, but in order to bring Git into this formula here, there's a Git right there. If I do a Git and a create Git repository, all right, notice I'm already logged in, so it sees all this stuff. See that? All right, so I can put in here, this repository will hold all homework assignments. AWD1100, spring 2021. All right, it says here that it's private. I don't want it to be private. I want it to be public so you can see it. All right. I do this. If I want to keep it private, I do that. I'm just going to leave it private for now on. Your stuff should be private. That's why I'm showing it to you this way. So it says here, create and push. I'm going to click that. And did anything magical happen? We'll see in just a moment. Okay. One thing you'll notice here is I've got a brand new tab. It says Git Changes. So if I go in and make any changes to my program, they'll be reflected in here. Now I'm not sure, but I'm going to go look in here, and I'm going to go out to, I was logged into GitHub, so. All right, so I'm in now. And if I come in here for repository, so I want to click here, and I'm going to show, I don't want a new repository. Let's see. I always forget how to do this. Repositories, find a repository. All right, I don't see it in my list here, but we'll see anyway, so. No, I don't want to go there. New repository, new project. There you go, your repositories. Now, it's not any of these. All right, so I'm not sure. It looks like it didn't push my homework. So let's go back to Visual Studio. We'll go back to here, and we'll say, got here a master. I think it's push, but it's local right now. All right, so gotta remember how to do this. I'm going to say initial homework assignment. All right. Now, I'm going to very quickly just come in here. I'm going to make a change there. Now I've made a change. Notice it shows a change. And it says, what do you want to do? Okay. I want to commit all. So you want to save your changes? Yes. And now it's done. It says unexpected sequence in commit output. Not sure what that is. It should be pushing here. It says push your code up to here. J.P. Scott, Rankin Technical College homework. That's what I want. So push. I didn't see it there, but we're going to look. I see no homework one right there, but I'm going to refresh. Still don't see it. It does not appear to be in there. I mean, I could check my second page. That would be silly for it to be on a second page. I do not see one called homework. That's not good. Thought it was going to automatically do this for me. Now, I can come in here and I can add, maybe I had to do that. I didn't think I did though. So I'm going to add a new repository that I'm just going to call homework. It says that name's available. Create the repository. Okay. There it is. Now I'm going to come back to here. And again, I haven't seen this message before, so I'm not sure what the problem with that is. Okay. Push your code to here. Push. No idea if that worked or not. On my luck today, probably not. But I'll double check on this and I'll get back to you. So let's go back to here. All right. It doesn't look like anything has happened. This is the way we did it in the past. We came in here and we did the commit, etc. But all of that stuff should have been done for us as far as I know. But in the past, we've had to do this ourselves, and we shouldn't have to do that anymore. Again, I'll have to go back and review that. But I sent you yesterday, I sent you a list of URLs, and one of the URLs that was on there that I sent yesterday, get rid of that, was this one, Get Experience in Visual Studio. All right, and if we click on that, it's got, as you can see, Get Experience in Visual Studio. I took all that from right here. It's a 5-minute long video, 5.5 minutes, where the gentleman explains it. I will watch it again and see if I did anything wrong. I didn't think that I did, but watch that and see if you have any questions, and if you do, let me know. So that's pretty much it. So what I've done in this video is I have gone over both a console app and a console app and also a Windows Forms application. Now, again, I'm having problems with GitHub, and I'll tell you very quickly the reason that I'm having problems with it. I tried to show the new people yesterday how to use GitHub, and I put in my JP Scott Rankin, but I couldn't remember the password. I should have just left it there, but I changed it to a different email address. Now it's not letting me go and save. Basically, it's for lack of better words, I'm having problems with GitHub. All right. The reason I'm telling you that is this right here. If you notice, if I look at the size, it's 279 meg. And out of that 279, this is the Git. That's 68 of the meg. So the handouts here are 4 meg. The homework is 50 meg, so I could not email that to you. The hands-on test, that's empty right now. The labs are 2 meg, so I can send you that. The slides are 39 meg, so I can't send you that. The student download is 100 meg, so I can't send you that. And the written tests are 4 meg. So right now, I have no way that I know of getting this stuff to you, Jameer. What I'd like to do is to take this, put it on a new flash drive. I'm going to email you and ask you to watch this tape. If you can either get a ride over or somebody can give you a ride over, and we can do it at a time that's between 6 a.m. and 4 p.m., I can give you the information on a flash drive. You can just keep the flash drive. All right? So you will have to email me and let me know if that works for you. All right? That should conclude this tape. Thank you.